So the movie Soul came out around December, but and there's a lot of things about Soul that people have talked about. Many theories relating to the story of the movie itself. But what if I told you Soul is based off a phenomenon called a near-death experience? So you can see here, this is the great beyond in Soul. Okay, you have the main character, he's out of his body, and most people in near-death experiences, you know, usually have an out-of-body experience. And Soul, this is exactly the same thing. And you can see here what he is on is basically a tunnel towards the light, and this is your average interpretation of the near-death experience because, of course, us human eyes can't really comprehend it. But here we go. You can see it's a very similar type of thing here. Very similar type of thing here. You have the tunnel, and then you go all the way up to the light, which a lot of people in near-death experiences see the light here. And yeah, you can see it here. And when you see the trailer, you see him float up into the light here and the near-death experience. Okay. And the irony of the movie is that most people, when they nearly die in near-death experiences, they don't want to come back to the world, unlike in Soul. There are very few exceptions where they say, well, like for example, someone said, I didn't really live my life here. I bet that's the same thing that really happened. Bent. But in the Soul movie here, that's what it is. And someone also already explained the great beyond is a thing that already exists. The great before, related to pre-birth memories as well. But this entire this entire imagery is the closest, human interpretation we've had so far in a movie or film. There isn't a documentary of the near-death experience. It is the closest interpretation that we have of the near-death experience. Okay, and in Soul, okay, later in the movie, you go to the great before. Okay, there's a part of Soul where they go to the great before, and the great before you see a lot of people mention in People of Memories in the great before a bunch of guides, pre-life planning, and all of that stuff, and a council of elders, there's in the great before. Okay, a council of elders that prep souls for life. Okay, they prep souls for life, and basically it is basically the soul planning here the soul planning that they go on here in the movie. Okay, the soul planning that they do before you're born. Okay, the life that you, the guides and the elders all plan before you go into the earthly realm. Okay, and then once you get to the earthly realm, you go through the veil of forgetfulness, which is why you can't remember what it is like before you're born. Born here. So, and another thing in Soul that they describe accurately is a city. Okay, there's a movie that was made by Brazil called Astral City, and between lives, you can basically create whatever you want. There's animals. Okay, there's like a whole city. Okay, and between lives planning, you go to this astral city, and so you see this astral city. A lot of souls out in this astral city. So what really happens in the movie. So when you go into the light, you eventually go to the astral city, and then you plan your next life, essentially. Okay? You basically, unless you're an extended master or ascended without figures that they use in the movie, like Abraham Lincoln and stuff. They use the figures in the movie, you know, and in the Great Before, well, they also have an image where they show Earth, or what the pre-birth memories describe this exact image where they go towards, where they have a gigantic portal that where souls go to get to Earth. So you have all of these souls incarnating into Earth. You they don't have an. I don't think they have an image of the Earth, but in the movie, and of course we have the Lost Souls, which are souls that refuse to move on. They basically refuse to move on to essentially the afterlife. These are basically these are souls that you usually see in hauntings as well. Souls that you usually see in haunted mansions. They don't know what they're doing, so let's go around, Most of these are, sudden souls that die from sudden accidents, or atheists who refuse to realize that they're dead, and they believe there's absolutely nothing, so they don't know what they're doing. But most of us, hopefully, will move on normally and don't become a lost soul. So, okay, and so it so and again, soul is not really based off any religion at all. Some people say that soul is based off the Mormon afterlife, but the movie is really based off of actual studies done into the spirit world, done into the afterlife. For example, The Journey of Souls by Michael Newton. I think that a lot of the inspiration of this movie does come from that, Journey of Souls and all those books, Past Life Regression and stuff. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot, and again, they could have explored past lives in this whole movie. That's the only thing that I heard from many people that didn't really actually cover in the movie. Maybe in the sequel, the movie could mention past lives. The main character could fully die for real this time, and the second movie could basically be about him going through incarnations into another life, essentially. Yeah, that's actually a pretty good idea because a movie about the afterlife is a pretty interesting concept as a whole. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and they explored it already in great detail. This is a movie that's meant for kids, and they explored it in a completely kid-friendly okay? And this is where new souls get their personalities into the cooks before they go to Earth. And again, they don't mention reincarnation because, of course, they don't want to mention the fact that some souls do reincarnate back on the planet because they don't want to think, oh, this is just about Buddhism. Then that's what people are going to talk about. It's just about Buddhism, and blah blah blah. It's more Eastern stuff, and Western audiences wouldn't want to watch it because it's about Eastern religion, and because the Western audiences are very close-minded. But a lot of people in Eastern religions actually like this movie because this movie is more about the more about Eastern religious spirituality, more than the Western one. Okay, and for example, I said earlier in the video that the Great Beyond, the Great Beyond and Soul is essentially based off the near-death experience as a whole. And when they talk about the count, they talk about people who actually are supposed to be dead. I bet they probably go down and tell certain souls that it's not the time yet and stuff if they're not supposed to be dead as well. Yeah. Yeah, and you can see here that they give at the end of the movie they give the main character another chance on Earth. I bet that probably happens a lot if you have worked at a lot of near death experiences. You can really see that a lot of people who had near death experiences got a second chance to come back to Earth and relive their lives like they're supposed to. And again, I think Soul at the end of the movie that was really talking about the whole soul contract. Okay, how the main character does not want to go on to the next world, so because the soul contract was not over. And we got the other souls going up. It's because they don't care because they know the soul contract is up. They know it's up, so they have to move on to the next realm of existence, which is the spirit world. That's what they're really moving on to in the movie as well. And I think the only problem is it didn't is I have not seen this movie. I'm just talking about what I've heard from a lot of reviews about this movie that they didn't really cover reincarnation at all. They didn't cover reincarnation, which I think the only reason they didn't want to cover reincarnation because Christians would be put off by watching this movie because it would be throwing Eastern beliefs into the movie, even though a lot of souls and a lot of mediums and people who have had contact with the afterlife and even NDEs have said, yeah, there's reincarnation. Okay, it does happen, and past life memories do exist. I hope in the second movie, if they do make one, they talk more about reincarnation. Because they didn't. Because what I've heard from the first movie, they didn't even talk about reincarnation, or they didn't mention that at all. Or Don and Dale, then reincarnation was not really a thought in this movie. And I think they really need to bring up reincarnation because they always brought up pre-life planning, before you're born, the life your soul plans before you're born, you know, going into the light, going into the spirit world, going into the light. Because you look at the great beyond again and compare it to, and anyone who has an NDE should really watch Soul. And yeah, if anyone who has had an NDE, you can really see. I bet most people who had near-death experiences can tell you that, basically, that's very, very accurate to it. Because you look at Soul, you have the tunnel, okay, you have the tunnel that leads to the light. You go towards the light, in this image, you have the souls going towards the light. As well, they lose the body, they lose the earthly bodies, and they become pure energy, pure soul energy, and they are connecting with one source energy, which is the source energy. And you have spirit guides and council members, making sure that it's their time, or the count might be off or something, there as well. So yeah, that's what the movie, I think, is truly based off of. The movie is truly based off of the near-death experience. It's really based off the near-death experience and the life you and the council members plan before your birth. Your life that your soul chooses before you're born, which is what the great beyond is. It's your life that you choose before you're born. Basically, it's your life that you choose before you're born as well. Okay? And the only thing is they don't really mention, again, in this movie, they don't really mention reincarnation at all. Soul school, learning lessons and stuff for the soul. And easily the second movie could easily bring that up. I think that's an easy thing they could bring up in the second movie. The main character dies, passes over, goes into the great beyond, realizes that isn't that bad. They go into the astral city, astral realms, and then he basically plans his next life. In the movie ends with him starting his next life, essentially. His next life in the movie planning the next life of, the main character. And I do agree with this one here. I've not seen the movie, but it is basically groundbreaking because you have actual film media, okay, actual companies that are actually seriously discussing what, spirituality and stuff, have experiences in a movie put into film form, you know. Once again, we can go back to the Great Beyond and compare it to the light and near-death experiences, it is, what I showed earlier. You can see that there's very striking similarities to both. Okay? Very striking similarities. Same thing of pre-birth memories and pre-birth plannings for your soul. Okay, pre-birth memories, pre-birth planning, mean, mean, there, and it could obviously explain, lots of things like, heaven and the spiritual realms and how what happens when after the souls reach the light. Okay, reach the light as well. There, because in the near-death experiences, people usually go towards the light. Again, not everybody goes towards the light. We do have free will, and that in this movie clearly shows that you know you know and even in the movie you can see the main character's body is like in a coma or something, which was also described by various other people, some people who had near-death experiences in comas, was essentially. Oh yeah, here's the image of the souls going into the earth. If you look at, there's a video that compares this scene to the pre-birth memories, and so I think that's what Soul is truly based off. Soul is truly based off the near-death experience, modern-day spirituality. That's why Soul doesn't have anything to do with any type of religion. Okay, they could have easily made the movie about Christianity and heaven and hell, Jesus and God, and if you punish, you're bad. Okay, but if you look at modern day spirituality, there's no judgment. Okay, and so there's no judgment in the movie. There is no judgment. There is no eternal torture. It's you going to the light, which is full of love, peace, and bliss. There, and you follow the light into the, you know, into the spirit world, the astral city, and all that stuff in the spirit world, all the different realms of the spirit world as well. And there's also in the movie they have animals. Animals in the movie have souls as well. Not just humans in the movie, and it shows that all creatures have souls and eventually return back to the source. They return back to the light. They return back to the light. So light and here, and and it is pretty groundbreaking in a sense because once you go towards the light, you take a soul form, and it's like a tunnel here going towards the light. They saw it as like an escalator, but it's more like a tunnel in the movie. And because I saw the whole part on YouTube, and it's kind of like a tunnel that is racing towards the moon and towards the light, and yep, that's basically it about this video. Goodbye.